Andrea Pearson here. I was just gonna tell you who I am, but I think I've done enough of these now where most of you should actually know who I am, right? that's the goal, the objective. Anyway, so a couple of updates before I get into the topic of today's video. And I hate it when my camera is crooked. It's like all crooked. You guys probably don't even notice. I'm too OCD. I need to stop that. Anyway, it's snowing like crazy outside, and somebody really awesomely just came and shoveled our driveway and sidewalk. That was really awesome. And it's already getting covered, but that's okay, because, you know, it's the thought that counts, and that makes me really happy. We have, like, seriously the best neighborhood in the world. Anyway, yeah, so it's very pretty, and I keep looking over there out the window because I'm like, look, snow falling down. It's very pretty. Oh, yes, thanks, Wanda. This is my natural hair, and this is one thing about doing videos on Mondays. My hair is always done on Sundays, and on Saturdays I'm like ponytail. So one thing about doing my hair doing the videos on Mondays is I will usually have my hair actually done instead of just in a ponytail. Anyway, well, thank you, Wanda, again. Okay, so just a couple updates. Like I announced last week, Demon of Darkness has been released. That's the end of the Coven Chronicles. It's not the end of Lizzie's series because, you know, you all know that she's going to be in Abel's series once that gets going, and I'll continue their story there. And for those of you, that's not a huge spoiler. I mean, the first book, you know, their relationship doesn't progress a whole lot except to the point of kissing in that series because they're busy killing crazy demons and trying to save themselves, and Abel's being, you know, he's disappearing and stuff like that, trying to take care of finding his mom and all that. Anyway, let's see. I'm trying to think if there's any other book updates. I did get invited to teach at a conference coming up in a couple of months, and I'm excited about that. Let's see, I think that's pretty much it. But pregnancy updates, I've got like 7 weeks to go or something like that. It's pretty crazy. If we end up having the baby early, it'll be early. Well, if the baby comes early, it'll be earlier than 7 weeks. That's like a no-brainer statement. But I wanted to tell you that I think we figured out the muscle cramping, all of that. Okay, so what I've been doing is I wake up in the morning and the very first thing I do is drink like 20 ounces of water and take my prenatal vitamin, and then I eat as soon as I can after. And I've noticed on the days where I do that, the cramping, the freezing muscles is significantly reduced. And on the days where I don't drink or eat right away, it's much worse. And I'm telling you right now, I do not like breakfast. I'm not a breakfast person. I like to wait probably like 4, sometimes even 5 hours after waking up before I eat, just because it just makes me sick. And my husband's the opposite. He gets sick if he doesn't eat breakfast. So that seems to be helping, and I'm willing to do something I don't enjoy doing just to not be miserable and dying all day long. So hoping to get some good work done this week, and yeah, really kind of very grateful for that. I've had several days of very good days. Anyway, okay, so today I'm really, really excited. I'm going to be reading to you an excerpt from, and it's very short, it's not that long, from the Shade Amulet. And I like this excerpt because, I mean, I grew up in Lehigh, and it happens like only a few blocks from where I lived all growing up, and I'm not going to tell you where everything is because that ruins the fun. Yes, Wanda, yeah, seriously, breakfast at noon. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and you can, if you have not already, go grab your copy of the Shade Amulet. It's still only 99 cents. Demon of Darkness has gone up in price, and but Shade Amulet still has not. I'm not sure when I'm going to raise the price on that. I was planning on doing it the same time as Demon of Darkness, but it's still downloading really well, and it's the first book in a series, you know? So it kind of, I guess it would encourage people to get involved in the series. But okay, so here I go. And again, disclaimer, I'm not a professional narrator. The sound booth that we got set up, and my eyes watering, but the sound booth we set up is for our podcast to absorb echoes. It's not for, you know, like me doing narrating or anything like that. Okay, and for those of you who have not read the book, Sia is Lizzie's really weird cat, and I've actually had cats that were like this. I actually used to take a cat on walks with me, and so I've had readers say, cats don't do that. I'm like, well, you've probably not had the right cat. So we've had some really weird cats that were super fun. Anyway, okay. Sia and I left the house. Once I'd had a good warm-up, I picked up my pace, encouraging my cat to do the same. She wasn't nearly as enthusiastic, but trotted faster anyway. We had to stop on 200 South at the train tracks. The railroad crossing was flashing, the arms coming down, and a train horn was sounding to the north. The ground vibrated as the train drew closer. It was a slow one, and I looked up the tracks, trying to gauge if it was worth waiting for, or if I should turn around and go home. A movement on the other side caught my attention. A huge dog was chewing on something big, and there was blood. A lot of it. I couldn't tell what the dog had, so I stepped closer, still far from the railroad arm, and squinted. A man's leg flopped into view, and I gasped, hands flying to my mouth. What was going on? The whole body twitched and jerked as the dog chewed it. I shrieked involuntarily, then cursed myself for not holding it in because the dog looked up at me. I was close enough to hear it growl. Its eyes were dark, its teeth large and bright red from blood. It dropped the arm that was in its mouth and stepped toward me. I backed up. Common sense told me not to run, but I shook with the effort it took not to scramble in the opposite direction. Sia hissed. Her fur stood on end, her tail 3 times its normal size. The dog growled again, then lunged toward us. Self-control out the window, I turned and ran, nearly stumbling on the gravel that lined the road. The train honked, and I glanced back as the dog stopped just in time to prevent getting hit by the train as it rumbled along, horn blazing. I picked up Sia and ran as fast as I could. Trying to keep her calm while holding her that tight wasn't easy, and her claws were probably ruining my shirt, and most likely her skin too, let's be honest. I didn't know if this would be a long train, but I wasn't willing to risk the dog being able to find me. Shaking and out of breath, I arrived at my doorstep and flung the door open. Once inside, I called the cops. It didn't take long before 2 police cars showed up outside, and once I had explained what happened, I led the way to where I'd seen the dog. My hands shook the whole way. I hadn't expected the dog to stay around, obviously, but I had expected us to find at least a trace of a struggle. Blood, shredded clothes, something. Nothing was there. Detective Evans glanced at me, confused. I didn't blame him. My reputation here was sound, and he'd never had a reason to believe me capable of exaggeration. Let's head back to your place, and you can tell us everything you saw in detail, he said. We'll take a full report and put it on file in case anyone else sees something, or you do again. I nodded. Where had the dog gone? But more importantly, where had the man gone? Because I knew I hadn't imagined that. And that's the end. And Alexander says his cat does that too. Are you saying your cat lets you go take it for walks? Or, I don't know which part that was, the cat shredding your skin? Anyway, so that's from Shade Amulet. And, yeah, I do like that series quite a bit. I was actually thinking about that one versus Mosaic Chronicles. Mosaic Chronicles tends to be a little bit creepier, and I think you guys would probably agree with that, those of you who have read both series. And Coven Chronicles, it's a little bit more mainstream. It hits the urban fantasy market a little bit more, which might be why it's actually made more money. But Mosaic Chronicles, okay, so Mosaic Chronicles in the long run has made the most, which is pretty awesome. I love having my books get read. But Coven Chronicles, it's like Shade Amulet has really done very, very well, and the rest of the series is doing really well. So we're expecting the Coven Chronicles to outperform Mosaic Chronicles eventually. And maybe it's a tribute, I don't know. I'm getting better at writing, I don't know. It's also targeted to an older audience, which, you know, all of that stuff. You guys probably aren't even interested in any of this. But for those of you, I keep forgetting, those of you who are watching on YouTube, these videos are live in my readers group called Andrea's Readers Club or something like that. Oh, from book 1, that's the one that hooked you, Scott. Are you saying Discern or Shade Amulet? I know you've told me. I probably will remember somewhere along the line. Anyway, so yeah, YouTube videos, or YouTube watchers, if you guys want to come and join the Facebook group and watch these videos live, that's totally fine with me, of course. And I'll put a link in the description for this on YouTube if I remember. Anyway, Wanda says, my brother's cats are leash trained and their leads attached to his dogs. His squirrel is leash trained too. That is so awesome. I want a squirrel. I need to ask my husband if I can get a squirrel. While I was living in Toronto, up in Canada, they had black squirrels. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to Toronto, but their squirrels aren't regular colored. They're black, and they were pretty cool. I was like, I want a squirrel. But yeah, so we've had lots of cats that were leash trained. I've had a couple people say, cats don't do that, but I'm like, you just haven't had the right cat. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end this now, and I will talk to you guys all later, either in the weekly email this week or so Scott says the Shade Amulet was the one that hooked him. That's so cool. That's good to hear. Anyway, so I don't know what I'm going to do once the baby comes. I'm going to obviously see if I can keep doing live videos because you guys will probably want to see the baby, right? I'm assuming. But anyway, so Yeah, so 6, 7, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, maybe 10 years. We'll see how long it takes for that kid to come. But yeah, so we'll talk to you all later, okay? Have a great day. Bye.